Hey folks, I want to let you know that on today's video, we do a little welding. I don't claim to be a welder, never have claimed to be a welder. I'm definitely not a welder, don't have that kind of quality of work. Would love to. My dad was a welder for his entire life, and I've got a son-in-law who's a welder. Any of my farm equipment that breaks down because it needs welded, since my son-in-law lives only about an hour away, I usually get him to do it. At some point in time, I really do need to pay him something for it. He doesn't want anything, but I'm going to just have to make him take something for it. Guys, if you like the content of these videos, please like, share, and subscribe. If you would like to see different content, let me know. Again, like I said, all of this is unedited footage. I don't edit. I let you see everything raw, just the way it happened. Sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes things go the way they're supposed to go. But this is real life on a farm. This isn't something where we sit down and think about what we're going to create for a content. I knew today was going to be a shop day because it's raining out. We need the rain. We need a lot of rain. And there's only so many things that I can work on in the shop. Right now, I don't have anything that's broken that I can fix. We're waiting on a starter for a tractor, and we're waiting on my son-in-law to bring a bracket back for the other one. And I praise God that there's no more than that that's broken. Like I said, though, disclaimer here is we're going to do some welding, and I am not a welder. Well, good morning, folks, here from the Ozarks, south central Missouri. It's a rainy day today. I had planned to build some fence, and it'd be a great day for building fence since the ground's wet, but I just don't feel like working in the rain today. So today is going to be a shop day. We got several things to do in the shop. We got to do a little rearranging. My son and his significant other have turned into gypsies, for lack of a better term. They're doing work camp. They've got their motorhome. They're getting ready to head out to Idaho. And so I've inherited a bunch of woodworking tools from my son. Table saw, bandsaw, miter saw, stuff that I'll probably use. Just never had the desire to purchase because I could do everything with a handsaw that I thought I needed to do. So it'll be interesting, maybe a little more convenient on building a few things. But it's going to be a shop day. Got several things to do out there. I'd like to build a spinning jenny of sorts to help with putting fence wire out. I've got some gun racks to build. I make those with horseshoes. And we need to build some birdhouses. One thing is we need to keep the wrens from building their nests here on the house. So we'd like to get them some nest boxes built. Plus they're beneficial to keeping the fly population down with the cows around. Speaking of the cows and the goats are goating, and the cows are just chomping down grass in their new pasture. So stick around. We'll show you a little bit of the stuff that we're working on, and a little project we thought we were going to work on yesterday. I actually thought I was videoing that project, and apparently I forgot to hit the record button. So I'll explain that, and we'll take a look at the garden and see how good the garden's doing. So hang around, folks. It's going to be an interesting shop day. So it's been a busy week here at the SR, guys. On our wraparound porch here, we'd noticed some rotten decking boards, and so we started pulling them off to replace them. And if you look, we do have some rotten joists as well. So I've got a material list. Probably on Friday, I'm going to go to town, pick some new boards up, and work on this over the weekend. The other thing I've noticed is this light here right on the corner. We've got a wren that keeps trying to build a nest on top of that light. So we're going to build a wren house. We're also going to, over the weekend, take down this self signal booster. We don't use it here on the house anymore. We've got pretty good internet service with Starlink, and so we do Wi-Fi calling down here in the hollow. But I'm going to take this signal booster, I'm going to put it on my shop because when you're inside the shop, we get no cell signal. So we're going to probably try to do that over the weekend as well. Let's go take a look at the garden here. We still got to get some boards sawed. Got to get some trees sawed to finish this fence. As I said, these look like boards from the inside, but they are not. They are the slabs that come off the tree, which is the outer curved piece. Still got the bark on them. We decided we liked that look. The bark will eventually peel, and we'll stain these. So it's going to give the rustic look that we want. We'll saw the tops of these posts off eventually with the top board that's on there, and we'll get things done. Let's go out here and we'll take a look at the raised beds first. We've got broccoli, kale, and peas in this bed, along with radishes sprouting up there in the middle. I just kind of broadcast seed. Everything's growing good. I have been watering a little. Now over here, we have two mystery plants. That one and that one. I don't remember what I planted. I've got cucumbers over here. And here I planted lima beans, but they didn't germinate well. So I don't think that's going to be a good plant for us to grow. In here, we've got a bed full of beets. I love pickled beets, and you see some dead leaves over. That's from thinning the beets. And then in here, we've got kohlrabi and carrots. We've planted several different times of carrots. The early planting resulted in one plant, but our replant, we've got lots of carrots coming up. Over here we've got our rhubarb, and then our tomato plants. We're going to work on setting stakes up for those later today. Got a new stake method I'm going to try. And then our rhubarb and a windmill we just got. Apparently that windmill belonged to my son's significant other's great-grandmother. Her great-grandfather, I understand, built that, and they needed a place to store it, so they thought out here at the farm would be a good place for that. Walk down along the garden here. Potatoes. Man, this is the best potato plants we've ever grown. I have high expectations for these potatoes this year. Potatoes have never done really well for us. I've been trying a few new things, and so I think they're going to turn out really good this year. Or at least, like I said, I have high expectations, and they're starting to bloom. And then we've got red onions. I've got to do a little work in here. Got to uncover the tops of those bulbs and get that going. And we've got peppers, all kinds of peppers. We have bell peppers, pepperoncinis, and jalapenos. And we've got our green beans. A couple of rows came up a little spotty, but I'm not too concerned about that because our corn did the same thing. Matter of fact, you can see there's a difference in height. Some of that corn seed germinated really quickly. Some of it has just now started coming. About another day or two, I'm going to side dress the corn with nitrogen. We haven't grown corn well here either, but we're going to try something different. And then we've got squash. Now, the first part of the row is squash seed. It's yet to germinate, but the plants that we transplanted did really well. They're doing really well. We've got zucchini and a summer squash. And then down at the far end, we've got 4 eggplants. And over here we've got sweet potatoes. We planted the sweet potatoes in a potting soil sand mix that we piled up here in the garden. We've always had good luck growing sweet potatoes in a sand mix. So we're going to see how this works this year on the ground. Last couple of years we've grown them in big pots. And then right here we have a row of sunflowers that still have not germinated, it doesn't look like. So we'll keep an eye on that. Hopefully we'll get some sunflowers to germinate. Yesterday I was working on this tractor and I was going to show you all how to replace a starter solenoid, but apparently I did not hit the record button. Not only that, there was definitely more wrong than the starter solenoid. Starter was kicking in, but it was not engaging to turn the motor over. And when I got the starter off, this is what I found. Broken nose cone and a busted gear. Starter solenoid was about $23. The new starter's a little over $300. So I was trying to save myself some money. I did fish around up in there. The gear's all in pieces. It's not going to cause any interference with anything, so I'm not going to worry about it. Because to get those pieces out of there, you have to actually split this tractor from the motor. Those pieces will be just fine in there. We're not going to mess with it. Do have a new starter coming. Should be here this weekend. So, well, let's go on in the shop and we'll see what we can, kind of trouble we can get into back here. All right, guys, so I think we're going to start with the horseshoe gun rack. I'm going to show you what I do here. These are brand new horseshoes that I buy at Tractor Supply. No horses have been harmed in the filming of this video. What I get here is a 00 horseshoe. First thing I do is drill a hole through this top hole for my hollow wall anchor screw to fit through. Now, as you can see, that sits on top. I don't really care for that, so I will drill this out on the top side just a little bit bigger with another bit. I've already drilled that hole, so we're going to drill the rest of these. I need 2 of these per gun rack, and I drill these from the back side because the drill bit doesn't catch quite as bad. You can see that those nail holes are kind of recessed in that cleat. If you try drilling from this side, it has a tendency to catch your bit, whereas If you drill it from the back side, it's pretty smooth. And there we have holes drilled in one of those. Yes, I know I should be using some oil to cool my drill bit, but that hampers us in another part of the process. But I will, for the purpose of this video, put some oil on here. Maybe. I'm going to have to find some. You know, this is PV Blaster. It'll serve the same purpose, keeping that drill bit cool. I will tell you that no, I normally don't put oil on these when I'm drilling. Just have never had an issue with the drill bits that I buy. So I'm usually not too overly concerned about that. Other than I do get concerned about that. Every once in a while it catches and I toss off a drill bit or break a drill bit. So yeah, things do get exciting around here sometimes. I was able to finish drilling that out with the piece a bit. It was almost all the way through and it got caught. Yeah, a clamp would probably help me. When I clamp these down, be a little more stable. I don't know. I've been doing it this way for years. That happens once in a blue moon is when that happens. So now we've got to get a drill bit to get that head to sit down in there. As you can see, this way, that head sits up on top. And I don't like that. I like that head to sit down in the groove. So what I use is one of these stepped bits. Seems to work pretty good for me. And you ain't gonna have any issue with this breaking. If I do, I'm gonna have to change up what I do. Block back up here. Just that table down just a little bit. And part of that bit breaking was probably I didn't have the shoe sitting completely on the wood block. That probably played into that a little bit. Got to take just a little more out so I can get that head of that bolt down in there. And the neat thing about this step bit is you can feel it moving down each step. And there's what I'm after. so you get that screw down below the surface. So we're going to do that to both horseshoes. That's perfect on that one. And that's perfect on that one. So now we have two of these ready to go. These are the pieces that mount on the wall. It takes 3 horseshoes to make one of these racks. We're going to take a third horseshoe and we're going to cut it right in the middle, and then we're going to weld these on. All right, so we've moved over here to the welding table. I'm going to cut this horseshoe in half, and I do that with a angle grinder with a cutoff wheel on it. I got to get me some glasses here. All right, so you gotta always protect the eyes. I've had stuff dug out of my eyes before, so I understand what the deal is there. All right, so that's pretty darn close to being cut half in two. We're about 1/8 of an inch off, which is not a big deal as far as I'm concerned. Now I like to set these up specifically like so. Most of the time, I do not like the angle that this comes out. So I will cut this back at a little bit of an angle to get that to open up a little bit to be able to set a gun in there. So we're going to do that right now. It might be 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch, just depending on how I hold the grinder. We didn't quite get it to the corner. That is more in the angle that we want. So we need to cut that off just a little more to get it all the way up to that top edge. Still not there. That's what we like to see. So what we're going to do is try to duplicate that angle here. On this other half. It'll be close, it won't be perfect. Remember, this is homemade. And that looks about like the angle that I want. So we're going to get set up here and weld those together. Alright, if you can't see, I've already welded this one side. I use these handy dandy magnets to hold them square so that I can weld them. I use a flux core wire welder. We're going to flip it around and weld the other side. And I'm not a professional welder by any means, but these look pretty nice when I get done. And it looks like we got welder problems. So we're going to take a break here and be right back. Alright guys, looks like we needed a new tip on our welding gun. That's typical, especially if I haven't used this in a while. Like I said, I'm not a professional welder, so I probably get a little closer to my work than a professional does. And that tends to ruin those tips a bit. Alright, so we've laid a bead down on both sides. I do like to flip these up. Kind of like that, if you will. Put a bead up here on the top. Just kind of something I like to do. I don't know that it's really necessary. But I do like to do it. If I can get things to cooperate here. And it's just a small little spot on top, basically a tack weld. Like I said, we don't stage anything here. You get to see everything as it happens. Things go bad, things go bad. That's just the way it is here at the SR. See if we can get this set up there a little better. It's starting to get a little warm. And if you're a welder, you can tell by the sound of everything going on that I am not a welder. As you can see, we got a little wire there, not a big deal. We will take this, and we're going to weld this bottom. As you can see, it's just a little, hangs down a little. So we're going to weld that up. Again, just pretty much just a tack. It's a little more than a tack, but I want a little more on this corner over here. Go. Okay, that's one of them down. And we'll get the other one here. Now folks, as I said before, this is unscripted. So we had a little blooper there, and we leave the bloopers in the videos. We're not going to change anything to make it look like we're more than what we are, which is just a hobbyist when it comes to welding and you know, a small farmer. This is something that I like to make, hang my guns on the wall with. Um, I have several of these to make. Just kind of showing you how we make one here. And if you're worried about my welds holding, you know, nothing moves. It's a gun that hangs on there. I've not had any issues in the past. Uh, they hold the guns just fine. It sounds like I got a bit of a feed issue with my welder, and I may have. These little Lincoln welders are known for having feed issues. All right, now what I need to do is clean these up a bit with the grinder, and then I'll spray them with an etching primer. After that's dried, I'll come back and paint them black. Now, as I've said before, I'm not the world's greatest welder, but I've cleaned this up with a grinder, hit it again in a couple of spots that I wasn't really happy with. What I'll do now is I'm going to clean this area in here and this with a file, and I'll probably knock off any slag that I find out here. Same way with the other one. Once I get that done, then I'm going to clean it with a solvent, and then I'm going to spray it with an etching primer. All right, so we've cleaned these up, degreased them, all that good stuff. We're going to spray them with an etching primer. It's actually a Rust-Oleum automotive primer, and then we're going to hang them to dry. And we're going to grab us a piece of wire here that this will hang from to dry. We're going to hook it through that hole that we drilled out, and then we can spray this other piece that sticks out. Kind of tricky getting the bottom side there. All right, and we're going to hang that up to dry and do the other one. Now I've got a wire in this already, but I don't like spraying it with the wire in it because it actually causes some issues. We're going to spray this, what I call the leg, first. Okay. And then we're actually going to hang this one off of the leg. So we get that wire in there. And then we'll spray the rest of this. Adjust your camera up just a little bit here so you can see we do get the bottom. And we'll hang this one up to dry. And when those are dry, I'll come back and hit them real lightly with some sandpaper. And then I will spray paint them black. Usually I paint them gloss black. That's just what I like. I could paint them any color, really, that you wanted. White, blue, green, yellow. Whatever color a person wanted. I'm going to take and show you a finished product that I already use for one of my guns in the house and see what you think. So as I promised, I would show you the finished product in use. I made this pair, probably 3-4 years ago. I don't know if we can zoom in there to where I welded. And see, those aren't perfect. Those welds are not perfect by any means. The welds I made today are probably better than those. But definitely like them. Now, if a person wanted to or felt the need to, you could weld a washer or something on one of those that you could run a gun lock through and lock the gun up. Or you can always run a gun lock through the action itself. I don't. It's just me and my wife here. Yeah, we have grandkids here once in a while, but you know, where the guns are is a restricted area. You ain't getting there without a key. So let's just put it that way. I do not have a gun safe. I'd love to have one. Just could never afford one. But I do like these hangers. They're made for me more for lever action type, and I have a few of those. That's the one that I showed in the example is a bolt action, and it's the only one that's a bolt action that's hanging in one of those hangers, because that is an antique curio and relic gun. It doesn't get used. I've had it out to shoot it to make sure it was a good straight arrow, and it is. I don't know, Facebook or YouTube may ban me for the content that I've put on this video. I don't know. If they do, I apologize ahead of time. But if they don't, you know, here's just another idea of something you can do. You got a neat idea. You want to see what it looks like, do it. Don't hold back. You know, as I've said before, I wanted to farm my whole life. Everybody always told me, no, you don't want to farm. I've tried to buy 3 farms in my lifetime. Once, once was when our oldest daughter was first born, and then when our youngest daughter was born, and then 5 years ago we bought this place. And we can talk about that more later if you're interested. Just let me know. I can kind of give you the skinny on all of that. But for right now, this is all we're doing today. Probably the rest of the week. There's rain forecast all week long. And we've had rain all week up until today. It's all been nice, gentle rain, no downpours, no flooding here in our area. There are some regions of the Ozarks that are being flooded because of the deluge of rain. Please keep all those folks in your prayers. If they need any assistance, please aid them if you can. For now, I wish you all well.